going on, everybody? Today
What's up, everybody? It's the You're Making My Dreams Come True with the Ben and Jay Show, everybody.
What's up, everybody? This is Jay, the Ben and Jay Show. Today is Tuesday, April 28th. We have a very amazing show with amazing guests on. But first, we just wanted to bless you guys with some good vibes. Listening to that Daryl Hall and John Oates, You Make My Dreams. It's a good song. It's fitting for
Did
today.
you know John Oates went to North Penn?
Did he? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or is it Daryl? I think it's John. Yeah, John Oates, because I think Darren Hall went to another school up in Pottstown.
Oh yeah.
Owen J. Roberts is, I think, where he went.
Yeah. So yeah, John Oates is a North Penn grad. Love John Oates. Yeah. So I actually did know that, but I did not know they sang the song. I mean, I did not know that when I was so surprised about that. Go ahead, finish up the rest of the stuff.
I just want to make sure that our guests know today, thank you for being here, and this webinar is made possible by Access Services. Access Services is a nonprofit organization serving 11 counties in eastern Pennsylvania with the mission to create better ways to serve people with special needs.
And wait, Jamiel, we have a special announcement today.
We have a special announcement today. All right. Well, let me definitely tell you.
Let me do a drum roll.
Hey, Access Services have been doing it for 44 years, and they're only expanding their services as they bend to fit the needs of those in eastern Pennsylvania. So I think Ben here wanted to tell us about what we're actually giving away today.
All right.
Go ahead, Ben.
We wanted to thank American Star Diner in North Wales, Pennsylvania. We got we have two $25 gift cards that we're gonna raffle off at the end of the show. So please stick around. So
there you go. So that's amazing. Shout outs to American Star Diner in North Wales. Once this pandemic is over, that's probably one of the first places I want to go to. Their breakfast food is amazing.
And you can do takeout. You could do takeout. I had takeout for lunch today, so you can go over there and so whatever you want to do.
So why not go ahead and do that? And also too, I want to throw in there, if you want to be American Star Diner and just take the initiative in your community to be a sponsor of the Ben and Jay Show, you can always contact us over here at Access Services, and we'll be more than welcome to have you as our sponsor for the show. So without further ado, for our guests that are new to the show, let's just get a little bit about who we are, Ben and Jay. Starting off with Ben. Why don't you introduce
So my name is Ben. You've heard of me before. I was on the Owens show. I'm a 21-year-old autism advocate. I'm on the spectrum. And the reason why I started this show was all my stuff got canceled. COVID-19 did a lot of stuff that I couldn't do. So I was like walking home one day and I said, I want to do a radio show. So I called up Jamiel and I said, Jamiel, let's continue the conversation. And he goes, all right, let's do it. So we talked, and we had our first guest on. And today I'm very, very excited about our guests, which is going to be very, very exciting about what we're going to be doing. And now I'm going to introduce you to my friend, Jay. His name is Jamiel.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am one half of this conglomerate we call Ben and Jay. I'm the muscle, Ben is the brain, so I'm just here supporting Ben in everything that he does that is amazing and awesome. A little bit about myself. I started off as the co-creator, the founder of a online radio show called The Ausome Show, where though I reached out to those fathers that have children that's on the spectrum, in order for them to help process the feelings and emotions they are actually going through when it comes down to autism. I also wrote several articles, but beyond that, I am also considered disabled myself. We can go vastly into why I am, but I'm speaking as an advocate for my son, who is Shane, 12 years old, and I'm speaking as an advocate for myself. So when I met Ben about a year ago, I couldn't help but to make him a part of my family. So he is a part of my extended family. He called me up and said, hey, Jay, you know, COVID-19 sucks. It's getting people down, but we got to do something to get them up. It's Autism Awareness Month. And I said, hey, you know what? It's Autism Awareness Month every month. And here we are, the Ben and Jay Show. So I'm here to support Ben, and we're here just to make it known that you guys out there are not alone. And we're going to make sure that you and the rest of the world know that over COVID-19.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So Ben,
Yes.
why you decided to put on the show? I mean, what was your main narrative when it came down to saying, "Hey, Jay, you want to join me in making the show"? What was the cause behind that?
I mean, it was the cause of autism, and then I think God really provided me the right people at the right time. And I just think it means that we should all just have a purpose about this. I mean, then after our first show, I went to Access and say, look, let's do this. And they were like, I'm in. So we literally were talking about this idea, and they loved it, and everybody agreed on it. So they were like really excited about. First of all, I also want to thank our Rob Reed, who's the CEO of Access Services and Linda, for doing such a great job behind the scenes and everybody what they do. They are such an amazing people every day when they work really hard. So thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you guys. We appreciate you. And I loved speaking with Ben previously because he said something that really touched home. And I believe, Ben, quote me if I'm wrong, but I believe you said, I don't want people to feel alone in this time. And we are here for you no matter what. So when he
Absolutely.
said that, I mean, that's just spoke to me personally, and it just made me sign the board, without a shadow of a doubt. I had no second thoughts about signing on for the show. You remember saying that to me, right, Ben?
Yeah, I do. I remember saying I don't want people feeling alone at this time. And I remember with our first guest, I said, I want to interview you. And then that's when we turned it into the show. And then I was like, why not try and promote it through my company agency? And now here I am. And I actually want to give another special shout out to my job coach. His name is Jamie from the All Tech, and he's an amazing guy. He was he's so impressed that I started a show, and he goes, "Wow, that's unreal. That is unreal." He said he's so excited for me.
That's good. That's good. Well, you know what, folks? Let's not waste any more time. Let's make sure you
Absolutely.
understand who we have here as far as our guest today. The topic is very, very much home to everybody in the world today. And hopefully it will reflect on you guys to just make some thought process when it comes down to those that are on the autism spectrum and also yourself during these times. So our guest today, don't kill me because I might mispronounce the name, but Max, don't hurt me, but Max Woessner. Is that correct?
That's not correct. Actually, it's
That's
Max
not correct.
Woessner.
Okay. So Max, can you pronounce your last name so the audience can understand it correctly, please?
Woessner.
Woessner. So we have Max Woessner and Matthew Walsh, got that one right, here to share a project they are conducting that addresses the isolation that COVID-19 brings and how it gives us a taste of what people on the spectrum experience every day. Now, Max is a peer mentor to individuals on the spectrum. He's also a resident of Mount Airy in Northwest Philadelphia and is a proud member of that community, as well as the Jewish theater and autism communities. Matthew Walsh is a peer mentor for people on the spectrum and resides in Roxborough. Max and Matthew hope that the takeaway of this time is to have people that are not normally isolated to be more interested in people that are. And those are sometimes our individuals that are on the spectrum. But more so, this webinar will be a different structure than previous webinars. It will largely be a forum-based and involve audience participation. So please have your questions ready and engage us. This is part one of a part two series, and we thank all of you guys for joining us. So Max and Matt, thank you for joining us. Let's do a round of applause for you guys. Thank you
for having us.
And Jay show.
First of all, can I just say something? First of all, if I didn't meet you at the CAPS training program, I would not be here today. So I just want to thank Matt and Max for being mentors to me in a way that I could be expressed in many different ways. So you guys are like my heroes, but you guys are amazing in many different ways.
That's cool. That's what's up.
We're further proof that not all heroes wear capes.
There you go.
I'm thinking like caps, like a cap, or I'm thinking like a cap, like a superhero cap, but I don't know.
I have my baseball cap over here. I could throw it on if you want.
Oh yeah, we can throw my cap on. Yeah, you know what? There
I
we
have a
go.
cap somewhere, but I don't want to mess up my hair.
Ah, there you go. There you go. Got the hair
Okay.
flow. It's a good day for it.
So here's my first question. You said all right, thank you for your participation in the survey. To start off with Max, how is this COVID-19 affecting you in as some way on the spectrum? And are these feelings in any different from you outside of COVID-19?
Well, to be honest, Ben, it's different from how I normally live my life, but I also have found many ways to live this life. I normally, especially at this point in my life, am very active in my community, in my neighborhood in Philadelphia. And of course, I've had to cut back on all of that. But that said, I have found plenty of ways while in the house to deal with that and to work around that. And this, just some of the things I've been doing since this all hit is that I've been practicing my guitar, which I do normally anyway. I have been helping out around the house, which is something I do whenever I can anyway.
Yeah.
I have been speaking with many people, just not in person. And one of the things that I'm now doing that I was thinking about, it just came to me one day out of the blue, was to do this project that we're focusing on today.
Wow.
And that through this, I hope to give people awareness of the fact that a lot of people in the spectrum normally live like this, but they can be helped and bettered given that we're all experiencing this. And I hope that it gives people more of an appreciation for people like that. And I look forward to seeing what the discussion we have today about it is. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead, Jamiel.
That's definitely good. I'm interested in what exactly is your current project and what sparked the idea to actually start it?
Well, what sparked the idea to do it was that I was telling some people, given how things were looking, that if for nothing else, a lot of people that are not in the spectrum will see how some people that are in the spectrum live. And I meant that as a dark joke, but they also understood what I was saying. And that got me thinking, well, maybe I could do something through an autism advocacy organization and through data collection and stuff like that that would give a public insight into that and into the fact that many individuals that are not in the spectrum do not have the means and resources that many people that are not in the spectrum do, and people that have those means and resources can maybe provide them to them. So I have decided to do this project, as just referring to notes I have over here, as a blog post, conference presentation, or 3 or 4, and report. And I've had a meeting with people involved with the Philly Autism Project last week, and I will have another one at the end of this week that will figure out what exactly I want to do with it and how I want this to reach people. I have reached out to many people that are not in the spectrum, many people that are in the spectrum, asked some questions about how they're doing, how they're feeling, and I'm combining it into, as of now, a 40% written, maybe more Google Doc that gives an overview of what I'm trying to get out of this. And so far, so good. onward and upward.
Wow. Amazing. Simply amazing.
Thank you.
I think right now you're touching on a subject that's pretty much quote unquote taboo. People are feeling, but they really don't want to speak about. So definitely is a pleasure to somewhat be a part and give you a platform to actually speak about
Sure.
this. So
Thank you for your help.
thank you for you guys to be here. Go ahead, Ben. I know you
I
got
got
a
you,
million
Jamal.
questions.
What kind of, and this is a question for both of you, whoever wants to answer this. What kind of information do you want to correct of this study?
Well, Matt, you've had the floor for a good 15 minutes now. Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank both Ben and Jay for having me on the show today.
Absolutely.
Obviously, since Max is my colleague in the organization where we serve as autism peer specialists, like Max, I was feeling a lot of the same emotions that he was feeling when we found out that, like, basically everything was going to be like locked down and we weren't going to be able to go about and do things as freely as we thought we could do. But the good thing is that instead of Max getting preoccupied with focusing on the things that he was not able to do, one takeaway from this is that he went back to the drawing board and he was able to take a look back on experiences from his past life where he felt as though he was socially isolated. And what he did was that he used that as an opportunity for the CAPS program not only to just learn about ourselves, but to be able to transfer this firsthand lived experience onto others. That way they can have an increased awareness of what it's like to be socially isolated and for them to, like, maybe understand, like, where we're connected versus where we're apart. So the thing about social distancing, I do not like to use the word social distancing. I think the more appropriate term is physical distancing, because you're cut off from the outside world too much. It's detrimental to anybody. Yes, it's okay, like, when you're feeling down and upset, to want to be left alone for a little bit, but if you don't have interaction with other people for an extended amount of time, it ultimately has very bad long-term effects.
Definitely. I like the transformation of the word, and probably Ben, you can go along with me on this. Is that we're already preoccupied with terms and labels that by you just transforming the way we thought of social distancing, just by what you just said, it is truly itself.
I want to piggyback what Matt said. Go finish your thought. I'll piggyback.
No, go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
I just love the thought that I like the idea, instead of saying social distancing, I like saying that word you said. I forget the word you just said. Can you say it again?
Physical distancing.
I like that, because but this is physical distancing. We are all talking all at once on a webinar, and I like that idea, because I think people are just losing hope out there, and people are just saying, like, nah, I don't think we should do that. Nah, I don't think I should. I don't think we should. I don't think we should talk about any of this. But if they listen to us and they listen to other people around the world, they'll be like, wow, they completely understand. They completely 100% understand.
Good point, Ben. That is a very, very good point, is that a lot of people are losing hope. And let's not just isolate it within a different part or a different region, let's say Philadelphia or the suburbs. We can rationalize, and we can departmentalize, excuse me, I'm tongue twisted, different people by different social standards, economic standards, and we can say, yeah, people are in this particular area are feeling it, but we're dealing with a pandemic where everybody is feeling it. So how do we cope with this? So I do believe that just already the wheels are turning as far as different ideas, different thoughts, and different feelings, which a lot of people are feeling right now. They don't know what to feel truthfully 100% from themselves, because there's so much negativity coming out in the world. Definitely a good point. Matt, I got another question for you. Are there any additional considerations you are taking as you conduct this project, and any parts of your study that you are incorporating that avoids bias?
Well, one of the things that we definitely have to take into consideration when we conduct this study is we have to be and have a great sense of awareness of the makeup that makes sure that when we do the study, it represents the general population of the city of Philadelphia. We have to make sure that we have to be culturally sensitive to the types of questions that we ask to the participants in the study. Because last year, one of the things that I observed, I attended the Philly Autism Project annual conference last October.
I remember I went to that, and the guy who spoke, he was so good. Oh my gosh, the priest, the pastor, or somebody. He was so good.
He was from Georgia. But one of the things that I actually talked to him after he gave his keynote speech, and we were saying that we thought that the conference was great because there was a very good amount of people of color represented. And then when I was talking to him some more, he said that people, and particularly the African American community, tend to get overlooked when it comes to any sort of studies pertaining to autism. It's just that people that are African American tend to be diagnosed later in life than people that are Caucasian. And that really shocked me, because I would think that a city like as large as Philadelphia, given the amount of autism research centers that they have in the city, that that population of people would be able to qualify for more services and get the help that they need. But that's another thing that I've had to learn throughout the process, is that when we do the study and we ask the questions, it can't be just a cookie cutter model. We have to maybe tweak some of the questions to be able to still get the message across, but treat every person that, I shouldn't say treat, but when we interact with each participant in the study, that we still delivered the accurate results, but not isolate them.
And can I just say this? We should all be kind to one another, no matter what is going on in our world. And I say that every time. Ellen says it. A lot of people say it. But we all should be kind to people, no matter what kind of race they are, whatever kind disability they have. We should just go out there and just be nice to them.
Definitely. Hey, Ben, before you get on to your next question, I definitely want to piggyback on what Matt said. I'm sure Max is feeling the same way with this. Let's talk shop a little bit. Let's talk about cultural differences a little bit.
Absolutely.
Now,
absolutely.
This may shock a lot of people, and you know, Max, by you already putting it out there, a lot of people might feel a little uneasy about this. But you're speaking to, let's just put it out there, African American male who's speaking amongst colleagues of different obviously ethnic backgrounds, but we all share the same thought pattern, is that the let's just say the urban culture, which can make a mixture of Caucasian, African American, Asian, different races in the urban culture, is lacking what is needed in order for our children to be diagnosed. What I'm saying by that is that we, as far as, and I'm speaking as far as my own upbringing, coming from North Philadelphia, 17th and Susquehanna, which back in the 90s was one of the roughest neighborhoods around. Growing up in that atmosphere, it was either, okay, something's wrong with you and you'll just grow up out of it, or something's wrong with you, we're going to leave you alone. There wasn't a lot of, okay, there's a problem here, we need to see what's going on. And unfortunately, to this day, I've been a witness to actually see more of that happen more and more with our boys, with our little girls. Now, don't forget, people, that diagnosis of those on the autism spectrum not only affect boys, it's primarily in boys, but it also affect our little girls too. And we're going to speak a little bit more about that also. But the importance is that you go to a seminar and you see the same color there, the same race there. It can be a little intimidating. You go to a seminar like you guys actually went to, where you actually seen a pastor who actually has autism speak, and he is a man of color, and it's refreshing. Why? Because we're getting a different perspective. So why is Philadelphia so vast as far as different cultures and religions? This is what we're known for, but yet we still lack that cultural richness when it comes down to speaking and questioning autism and our children that are on the spectrum. I want you guys to really, really think about this, because I am passionate about it. Ben's passionate about it. Max and Matt is passionate about it. You need to be passionate about it. So I wanted to piggyback about that, because I really don't think people are really understanding time is the essence when it comes down to diagnosing our children. Take your ego, put it outside, and get your children tested. If you feel
Exactly.
there is
Preach
something
it, Jamal. Preach it. Preach it.
I'm not preaching anymore, Ben. I'm just passionate about it. Go ahead, Ben. I know you got more questions.
I love your energy. I mean, everyone has good energy. We all need to be like Jamiel someday. We all need to be like him in any different ways, like helping people. I just think you're incredible. I'm just so glad you're my friend.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ben. You got the next question, sir.
Which one is it? What the results for impact? What do you want the results of this study to impact?
Well, one particular impact I want this project to have, is on the school systems in when anywhere that really has someone on the spectrum. By that I mean, keep in mind this was over 10 years ago, and during that time, let alone before then, we were still figuring out from a professional standpoint what the autism spectrum is and who exactly it affects. Of course, arguably the biggest thing we know today is that it is truly a spectrum. There are all sorts of people it affects in different ways, and no two are alike. As Dr. Stephen Shore famously said, if you met one person with autism, you met one person with autism. And so I hope that this, because of the experience I had going to a school that could have done more for me and incorporating someone who is on the spectrum, one thing I'm encouraging this to do is to make changes in the communities or around the world, really, but especially if they focus on someone who is on the spectrum and how they can include them more in their activities that they regularly put on.
Very, very well put. Very, very realistic goal. Something that I can see actually happening, and I can speak for all of us here. We're going to help you make that happen as much as possible. This right now is the part that's the most exciting. This is when we would like to begin our open forum, and that's for our guests that are listening and whoever's there chiming in. We would like for you to ask a question in the question box, but also everyone is unmuted. So we want you to join the conversation, but also be respectful for other people that is talking and posing a question. So we want to hear from you. How is COVID-19 making you feel? If you feel any different during COVID-19, or is this no different than any other day? So everybody's unmuted. We'd love to hear from you guys. Just remember, in the background, try to keep your background noise to a minimum. And the floor is open. Don't be shy.
All right. So I'm listening. So I am all for this autism, because I personally have an autistic sister. But your points are definitely proven. I'll give you that. And I worked with Ben last year at Dorney. He was very enthusiastic. But like at my school, I'm in PALS Club. So that basically helps with all autistic kids. So I'm all for like all these projects. I'm glad you guys are doing this because it gives me something to do at home. Like, but it is very, very good explanations on. Some people don't know. Like some people think like, and going back to the race thing. Yes, I agree with Ben that you shouldn't discriminate against other people because it's not right. We should all, like God says, we're all brothers and sisters.
Amen.
I loved it. That was great. That was great.
Amen. And can I ask you your first name?
Kevin.
Kevin. Thank you for chiming in. First of all, thank you for having the courage to even speak your mind, because that is the first step when it comes down to anything. We're supposed to all take away from this. So we thank you for speaking your mind. Definitely, we want to hear more of things like this. How is COVID-19 affecting you? How's it making it feel for you personally?
Me personally, it's kind of like very boring. It's not fun sitting at home. I like I'm a fisher, so I like to go out fishing and all that. Yeah. But it's like I was not able to do lots of stuff myself. I would always have to sit at home and do nothing. So it's like I'm glad that they're going to start opening things on May 1st, like outside recreational, like playgrounds and all that, and where I can go fishing. But yeah, it's been very boring for me at here.
Okay. Have you seen an uptick as far as negativity from your personal standpoint, or do you think everyone is pretty much in line with how society is currently right now?
So, I obviously still go to school, but I do see sometimes people in school, they're bullying autistic people. Okay. I don't like tolerating that. That's not like, I have a special needs sister, so I'm going to stick up for everything. And like someone says the R word, I tell them, and the R word, you're literally making fun of autistic like people. And there's like, oh, I don't care. And they just keep saying it. And then they finally realize, yeah, that's really hurting other people. Like, it's like making fun of these autistic people, like they shouldn't be here or something like that. But I've been seeing a lot of negative things in school with people, like my one friend's in a wheelchair. And
okay, and how's your sister?
How's my sister?
Yeah, how's your sister dealing with COVID-19? How's she dealing with her structure and everything?
So with her, she's doing okay. She, like my mom, she has to hang out downstairs until my mom's done doing work and all. But other than that, I brush her teeth because she doesn't know where to get. So I volunteer myself to go help her brush because I like helping autistic people. Like I try to support, like I support Ben and like all the autistic. I'm not against autistic people. It's just how that they are who they are who this. Okay. They're the people who they want to be.
Definitely.
So, is your sister on the spectrum, or you on the spectrum? Which one of you?
So my sister is the autistic one. I'm not on the spectrum. I just support it.
Okay. How old is your sister?
She's 22.
Okay.
Wow.
If you ever need any information for me, for you guys, like adult services or anything, send me an email. We're all in this together, no matter what. Like, because there's services out there that can help your sister. There's agencies, there's different people, organizations that can help. I'm thankful for the CAPS program. Anybody can help out in any different way, but we just want to make sure that parents do not give up on their child. Keep fighting for your sister. Keep fighting for what you're doing.
And that's what all of us do. We fight. Like the doctor's like, she wasn't gonna live 5. Well, she's 22 years old. And she is in an actual good group. It's called Community Service Group up here in Snacksville. And the people that work, like, take them out for walks, take them to parks, picnics. It's like a group that's all autistic people that they work together as like a group to like do activities and stuff.
Wow.
And then, does she work?
They're in the process of trying to find her to do some like
Okay.
job things, but they got to find her a job coach and all that.
Yeah.
But they're all trying to work it out. She just met a new worker that she used to go with 2 workers. That was, she would always go like over there for a weekend, and they will take her on, and they will go like boat show in Philadelphia and all that, and that's pretty good. But it's been, she's holding up.
Okay.
That's good. That's good. Kevin, we want to thank you, man, for just being that, that guy, that person that stands up and do right, whether it's your sister or not. Definitely you definitely get a salute from me for just going above and beyond what a brother, what people think a brother should be doing. So definitely thank you for that. Just knowing that you're another person out here in the world makes me a little bit better to know that my son will be interacting with people like you in the near future. So thank you for that, and thank you for your comments and your time. Make sure you definitely do reach out to us if you do need some services for your sister. We'll be more than welcome to help you. Anything that we could possibly do. All right.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, man. Continue to listen. We got this survey coming up. We want to open up the floor to anybody else. Anybody else would like to speak?
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, how are you guys?
Hey,
Hey, how's it
Alyssa.
going?
Is that Alyssa?
Yep, it's me, Ben.
Hey,
what's
how
going
are
on?
you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. What is your question, my friend?
I just wanted to know, for Matthew and Max, what is your goal for this study? Like, what are you trying to achieve?
In the house, why?
Who wants to go first, me or you, Max?
You can if you want.
One of the goals that I have for the study is to eliminate any stigmas attached to individuals such as myself who have a shared lived experience on the spectrum, as well as being able to kind of understand how things like a pandemic affects them as far as their social isolation, but to mainly it's to, so there's a mutual understanding of how something like this can be a reflection on like past lived experiences of like particularly when somebody's socially isolated, they feel as though like they got a label attached to them, or like they're being it's like a door's being closed on them. And one of the things that I hope to achieve from this is to be able to, instead of recognizing somebody for their weaknesses, you should be recognizing them for their strengths and focusing on the things that they can do. By building on their strengths, people will be able to look past their neurological differences and to be able to accept them, judge them for doing good versus what they're not good at.
I agree.
And
people on the spectrum, like, they shouldn't be judged, they should be recognized for their talents, because, people on the spectrum, I think everyone's beautiful inside and out. And, like, they just deserve more recognition, because everyone's amazing, especially you, Ben.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
It is amazing. Hey, listen, how's COVID-19? How's it going for you? Are you experiencing anything, give an example, maybe some anxiety, maybe depression, anything going on, or how are you holding up?
Well, I have a generalized anxiety disorder, and it makes it kind of hard with COVID-19. And I've been bummed because most of my events have been canceled for Autism Awareness Month, because I was really looking forward to, Huddle Up for Autism, which I know Ben goes to,
Yep.
and also the zoo, which they have Autism Awareness Day at the zoo, and I like to go there. So yeah. Other than that, I'm just trying to, hang in there and just, focus on my work and just be there for friends and family, whenever I need them.
I would like to piggyback off of what Alyssa said. Like you, I had a lot of events that I was looking forward to in the month of April. There was a couple of late March, early April for Autism Awareness Month. There was a lot of different conferences I was originally scheduled to attend. They were supposed to do an Autism at Work Summit at the Union League down in Center City, and John Elder Robeson was going to be the keynote speaker there. And I really, really was looking forward to meeting with him. I've read a lot of his books, but I've never actually had the opportunity to meet him. It's just, things just never seem to work out. Like anytime I wanted to go to an event, it overlapped with something I was doing. And here, let it behold, I only work 2-3 blocks away from the Union League in Center City. And about 2 or 3 weeks before the conference was supposed to, or the summit was supposed to happen, is when everything came into stay-at-home order. But it actually is working out to my benefit right now, because I am not at my apartment in Philadelphia. I'm actually staying with my parents for the time being near Reading, just to wait for all this to play out. And then once things start to go back to up and running again, I'm going to go back to my apartment. But there's a lot of things that I really, really like you said, there's things that you can't do. But one of the ways I look at this pandemic is that how much money I'm saving by staying at my parents' house right now. Even though my parents are probably not happy that I'm ringing up their water bill now, I'm doing so much laundry at my parents' house, because I live in an apartment building, and you have a shared laundry room on there's 2 on each floors, but you have to pay every time you load in the washer, load in the dryer. And I save so much money by being able to wash at my own pace in my parents' household.
I can imagine. I think that's definitely a brighter side to look at things right now. Saving money. A lot of people are saving money.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saving money. I'm not using SeptaPass right now because I spend $144 for SeptaPass every month. So since I'm not in the city right now, it's $100+ I'm saving right now.
Can't go wrong with that.
And yeah, if I may, likewise, it's not really too surprising that I am really doing this project anyway, because
because I'm gonna forget these naming conventions.
Sorry, what was that?
I think somebody background was active. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Because one thing I very much enjoy doing is I very much enjoy connecting people to other people, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do with this. And I also, focus generally on what I am able to do under any circumstances, rather than what I'm not able to do. And so, one thing I'm hoping that this project leads to is conversations that are long overdue, but very much worth having. I mentioned at the end of what I wrote that the autism community gets, again, much more attention than it used to, because we've learned exactly what it is and exactly how it affects people. And I'm happy we've moved so far in that regard. But there's always room for improvement. We could always use more attention. And that's one, hopefully, after effect of all this, let alone this time and project.
Definitely a positive. Definitely another positive. So, I can only see it as positive, never a negative. What about you, Ben?
I liked what, I want to piggyback what Max said again. I loved how you said about the project. I love how you said about how we can form a conversation. And I just think, I'm like, me on the spectrum, I am all for that, because one, if I just met you and you're like, oh, have you heard of the coronavirus? Have you heard what we're doing? I would be like, wow, that's amazing. But I think people are going to be so excited about what you're doing and how you're going to get people involved in this project. I think it's going to go a long way, and I'm very excited for it.
Definitely that. Hey, we got some more time for some questions. We want to open the floor up to the next person.
I just want to say thank you all for having me, and we'll get through this together.
Oh, there you go. Is this Alyssa?
Yeah, it's me. I just wanted to say that real quick.
Hey, that's no problem. Thank you for listening, Alyssa.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to stay tuned because Ben's going to be giving away those gift cards. So stay tuned. Just for more information about this project.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks. We got the floor open for anybody else that wants to speak.
Hello, Ben. This is Ardika.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Good to see
So I know Ben, Matt, and Max through the Community Autism Peer Specialist or CAPS training program, and I also work alongside Matt and Max, and as a peer specialist. And Ben, I just wanted to ask. Well, first I wanted to say that thank you for hosting a great show, and you did a great job putting it all together and coming this far. And I just want to ask, what do you once things get back up and running, what are some other projects you had in mind?
Good question.
That I don't know. I mean, I am just playing around with ideas right now, but I'm hoping to work with like other people who have autism, like Temple Grandin. I'm hoping to work with people like some famous people who have the disability. I like that. Who's that person that you mentioned? We should reach out to him. What's his name? The guy who wrote the book?
At the Union League.
John Elder Robeson.
He should come on the show. He should talk.
Hey, we can always reach out.
Yeah.
Definitely reach
And
out.
then I just want to thank, like, I also want to give a special shout out to Councilman Derek Green and Denny O'Brien for doing what they do. They are amazing people, and what they do for Philadelphia in many different ways. I also want to give a special shout out to Katie Kaplan and the CAPS program out there. Thank you for what you guys do, and keep up the great work. If you want to need more information about the CAPS program, you can also talk to Ardika, because he was a member of the CAPS program. Matt, Matthew, Max, me, or Ardika. So do you have any points about the CAPS program while you're on here?
Yeah. I just wanted to say that through the CAPS program, when once they get up and running again, it's just that, like, it's a really great experience to meet other individuals also that also identify on the autism spectrum, and you get to learn a lot about some of the things that they personally grew up with and how you might be able to relate to it. And then also at the same time, the important parts about the curriculum is how to peer support and help facilitate goals, for example.
Yeah, and it was really cool because I like the sensory stuff part about it too, because sometimes I would have a hard time focusing on that piece. So I would say they had fidget toys there, which helped me to focus during the training. So I liked that part. It was really hard to understand like what the concept was, but I'm just so thankful for those people help me out in many different ways, because they have their stories and their background. I'm hoping the future of this will grow even to more bigger research centers, more testing sites, more people will talk about it. And that's why I think we should all try and talk, because my other thing is, I want to piggyback what you said about how we can get people to talk about it, or like a lot of you were talking about this. We should get like celebrities to talk about it. We should get like famous people to talk about it. I just think it's an ongoing conversation we need to talk about.
Definitely.
And before your next, what do you think about your colleagues Max and Matthew's project? Do you think it's relevant, and does it make you think about what's going on with COVID-19 and individuals on the spectrum and also yourself?
Pradeep, are you
Hello?
there?
Oh, sorry.
Pradeep,
What was it? Yeah, I'm here.
I'm sorry. What do you think about your colleagues' project?
I think it's a really good I think it's a really well thought out project, and especially like for Max, I'm really proud that he's taking the chance to gather some more ideas and be able to communicate the different aspects of autism in many different many unique ways as well.
Yeah.
And each of us has our own way of sharing these experiences, and that's what autism is. That's the one part about autism, is that there are many different approaches, many different ways to go to approach different aspects.
Can I piggyback on another thing that you said? I like what you said, how to approach people, how to aspect on them, because I feel like people with jobs out there, they're just like, oh, you could do this. And people with disabilities and autism have a certain way they like to work. And I liked how you said that.
Yeah,
that's kind of like what I said earlier when we were talking about the study. We had to be careful with the way that we came up with the questions, making sure that they are culturally sensitive and to make sure that we don't stereotype or judge people, because of the fact that people on the spectrum, such as myself, have very different ways that we interpret things. We have to make sure that, like my supervisor at MHP says, you could be passive, but don't be aggressive about it, because if you get too aggressive with something, people who are not aware of the way that your mind functions, they can draw the wrong conclusions about what you're trying to convey to them.
I like that. Actually, that's a really cool idea. I actually had another question that came up in my mind. Do you see this project going globally and nationally across the United States or around the world?
Good question. I would say that I see it reaching as many people as possible in as many ways as possible, but that is still being figured out.
Okay.
It should be presented at a conference or two or three. That would make a lot of sense. That would reach a lot of people and get the message out in a concise manner. But I still just want the message of people in the spectrum are people. They're no different from people who are not. And given, as well, I can recite, use the last line of the Google Doc that I've written, which everyone said it too thinks is very effective. Given that the world is going through a brief period of isolation, I hope at least some people have a refined interest in those that are constantly, if not always, isolated.
Wow.
Well said.
Good point. Good point. And I think we're definitely on our part two. We're going to get into really the meat of the actual research and the thought process. But this is actually more engaging than I would have imagined, because people are actually giving the input. We're getting a lot of different questions. Definitely want to get everybody's question in for Max or Matt. Anybody else has a question for Max or Matt? You have the floor.
Like, babe, if you gotta get something stuck up your nose, come in. You get stuck up your nose.
Hi, Max, Matt, and Ben. This is Luke Tomzuk. I'm calling from my home here, and I just wanted to say this isn't the first time I've heard about this project. Max and I have discussed the project a number of times already, and it's just I learned a lot actually by joining this call. I learned that it's definitely much more detail oriented than I thought. Like,
are you still there?
upstairs tomorrow, okay? Come on.
Hello?
Hey, Luke, are you still there?
Luke?
I'll text him.
All right, we might have a little bit of a disconnection here, but we want to open the floor to anybody else who has a question for Matt and Max, or even Ben, or even me. The floor is yours. Just state your first name so we know who we're talking to.
Okay, so I have a question for Max and Matt. So
Okay.
how do you want to get this process keep going? What's your goal to just keep it going and try to get it out as many people as you want to get out to?
Obviously, Max and I talk on, even though we're both working remotely right now, we still try to talk and touch base a couple times a day just to update each other about where things are going with our individual participants, but also I ask him specific questions about has he talked to such and such a person. So if he goes to a meeting where he specifically discusses this project and I'm not able to attend it, he sends me the meeting minute notes. That way I am still on the same page, even if I can't physically be there. I can take a look at the key bullet points of the materials that were discussed. That way that when I go to another meeting and I'm able to attend and it brings me up to speed, that way that when I sort of have the floor, I can give my own, bring in my own experiences and some, I don't want to say opinions, but just suggestions of how we can streamline the project and make it expand its audience.
I like that.
And yes, there's a meeting I have at the end of this week with people involved in the Philly Autism Project and community behavioral health in our job, CAPS. It's going to be ongoing until this is brought to the finalized and brought to the public eye. I also am involved with a side project that our job does is that some of us, when we can, are involved with the youth peer support division of Temple University, and I was told that at the May meeting they will devote some time to weigh in on how I'm doing with this and what I want to do with it. And I was contacted by someone who works at the Philadelphia Fight Y HEP Health Center, which is one building over from our building at 1211 Chestnut Street. Our office, 1207 Chestnut Street, is that office. So in short, many people are paying attention and sitting up, and that is more than I could have asked for this entire project. And this webinar is just one example of that, and I really look forward to seeing what comes out of this. And I thank you all for tuning in and giving us your opinions and your feedback. It's very much appreciated. Please continue.
Yep.
All right, well, definitely I want to apologize. I don't know what happened to my computer, but my face disappeared, but I'm back now. So looks like if Kathy is still on the line, look like she may have.
Jamal?
Oh, you're still there?
A question. Kathy, are you still here?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Hello.
Oh, hi, Kathy.
Kathy?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So,
Hi, how are you?
welcome. What is your question, Kathy?
Actually, I didn't have a question. I was responding to the COVID-19, and I do feel isolated sometimes. I do feel sometimes depressed. And so I think in regards to Matthew and Max's project, I think it's good, maybe that I feel this way so that I can quite understand a little bit more what you guys go through all the time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. Now we can assume from the way you're stating your thoughts that you are not on the spectrum, or am I wrong and you are on the spectrum?
No, I am not on the spectrum. I'm actually a very good
Okay.
friend of Matthew.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
All
she was.
right.
It's great to have you, Kathy. Yeah, Kathy was my neighbor growing up.
Oh, wow. Okay, let me ask you this, Kathy. So from outside person looking in, um, did you ever think that, and I'm sort of like putting you almost in like a parent role of how parents would notice something is wrong with their child. Did you ever see anything that may have caused you to say, that's a little peculiar, as far as Matthew's growth, or was it just Matthew was just, everyday rambunctious, happy, go kid?
I would say Matthew was a very rambunctious, normal, active child. I think I remember his maybe speech being delayed though. And when his parents thought there was something wrong, then I helped give his mom and him rides to different like testing and things like that.
Oh,
So
wow.
Wow.
Okay. The reason why I asked you this, and I hope everyone is still here tuning in, is that people say, "Oh, he looks autistic." I'm sorry, people, but there is no look to being autistic.
That's
You
just
can't look
ignorant.
at somebody and say, "Hey, he's on the spectrum," or "She." There's no look to it. So I just want people to really try to divert from their way of thinking to try to look at anybody's informalities. We all have differences. This is the reason why we are all different in the world. Your head could be too big. Someone's nose can be too big. I can sit there and say that looks autistic, but the truth of the matter is that we're all different. We all need to accept each one's differences, and we need to just embrace it. So let's just start thinking about how we term, oh, he looks autistic, or I knew something was wrong with him. You don't know. There's no
right.
look.
Can I just piggyback on that a little bit more?
Definitely can.
I am also a teacher in a daycare. Or for many, many years, I was in the young preschool age 3 to 4. And now I'm in like a toddler age. And I even would get mad at my coworkers when they would say things like that. Oh, I think that child's on the spectrum, because everyone also develops differently and at different times. Like they may be delayed in speech, and that might not mean anything. They might just be more like agile and physical and balanced and that kind of thing, mobile and not verbal, but it might not mean anything. So I even get a little upset with some of the coworkers that say, oh, I think this child may be on the spectrum, when every individual develops at different speeds.
Very, very good point, Kathy. Before anything, I just want to say thank you for one, being there for Matt, for just being a good-hearted person. It's not too many of you individuals like yourself out there, and this is the compassion and the love that we need more of, especially right now. We need more of this. So I just want to say personally, thank you once again. You too are an example of why I should have no type of anxiety about the future of my son and how this world will embrace him once he gets older, such as Matthew, Max, and Ben. So I just want to say thank you personally from me.
Oh, thank you.
That's no problem. That's no problem. So we got time for Ben. I know we got a raffle. I know you're excited about it. But
Yeah,
we
so I
also
don't know how
have,
we're gonna do it. Is Kaylee gonna pick numbers?
well, we have one more comment. We have
Uh,
one more comment from Francis. Francis, are you still here?
I am here.
Hey, Francis, thanks for staying on. We want to get your comment or your question in real quick so we could give these gift cards out, but we want to hear you. So you have the floor, Francis.
Just a quick comment. I just wanted to say I also am a teacher in an elementary school, and it's inspirational to hear Max and Matt speak. Being autistic and being on the spectrum, I'm sorry, and speaking, and it gives inspiration to me for our students who are also on the autism spectrum. I'm sorry, and wow, congratulations! This is awesome, and that's all I want to say.
Yo, Matt. Love you, cuz. I'm proud of you.
That's my son. Giving a shout out to Matt.
Hey, before you go, Francis, can I ask you a question? What do you think about their project, and how do you think it will affect you as an individual? Good
Hey,
question.
so I'm Ethan, her son. I just wanted to kind of chime in just quickly. Sociology doesn't tend to study autism and the effects that are had on autistic people during certain crises like this. So I think that the project and the way that they're extending the project to kind of include the not social but physical distancing and how it isolates people not only physically, but it can really feel as if you're emotionally isolated. Really ties into the whole prison industrial complex and how we kind of need to evaluate, one, mental health going into that, and two, the use of like, what's the word I'm looking for here? No, not use of force, but the use of isolation, the use of
For people, okay.
strict lockdown for people who may end up being on the spectrum and function at a different level.
Can I just say something real quick? Where does your mom teach?
I'm the computer teacher actually, and actually I really want to get into special ed, but that's neither here nor there. And I'm thinking about the students that are in my school right now that are home and being isolated, and how they are going to re-enter school if we, go back to a school, and how that's going to feel to them, because we make such great strides during the year in in having them feel comfortable who they are, and working with them on how they can work. And then now they're going to have, 6 months before they go back into that environment again. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a huge public speaker, and if you ever want me to come to your school, just send me an email, because I've talking to many different schools throughout Philadelphia, New Jersey area, Virginia, and I talk about never let go of your dreams. So if you want to send me an email, or if you want to just chat your email on there, and I can talk to your principal, maybe this will be something like next year or something.
Awesome. Sounds doable.
Definitely. We want to thank you, Francis, and also your son. I want to thank both of you guys for taking time out to listen to us. Stay tuned, because Ben, you have something that you want to do. We're giving away. We're raffling. Thanks to the good folks over at the American Star Diner in North Wales. We're going to be raffling gift cards. We want to make sure it's one of you or two of you folks here listening today walk away with those, so you can enjoy it once we get over this pandemic.
Or you can order takeout when you're out there.
There you go. Order takeout. Keep forgetting about takeout. I forget. Go ahead, Ben. You got the floor as far as the drawing, because you would be the person doing that.
I don't know who we gonna. Kaylee never get. I don't know how we gonna pick.
Ben, I just sent you the first winner in the chat. Do you see it?
Oh, you sent me in the in the chat. Okay, I apologize. So the first winner on the chat is Alyssa. Congratulations.
And then the second winner, you see the second winner?
Wait, is
Uh-oh.
that Nancy? Nancy Smith?
Hi.
Congratulations, you won.
We have your
You know
emails.
what? I can give it to somebody else because I don't live near there.
Okay.
Oh, Nancy, where are you calling from?
Reading.
Reading, or I should say, where you watching from? Reading, okay. All right, well, Nancy is paying it forward by putting her ticket back in the bucket. So we appreciate you, Nancy. While we're picking someone else, did you have a question or a comment for Max or Matthew?
No, I've enjoyed it. It's very informative. And like the last person that spoke, I work in the schools, and I'm just wondering how some of these students are going to be when they re-enter school in September, because that's quite a long time for most students with autism to be off.
Correct.
Can I interject? That was one of my first questions when this whole thing started. I thought of myself, how are these kids that are still in school going to be able to, once they make the transition back into going to school in the in-person environment, how are they going to be able to get back in the swing of things? Because before I came back to the Reading area, when I was still in Philadelphia, like before I came back to my parents' house for the time being, that was one of my greatest concerns. I wasn't worried so much about myself. I was more worried about the people, the young men that I work with, because a lot of them are still in high school and some of them are about to graduate. And they had this, they were looking forward to being able to walk across the stage and get their diploma, go to senior prom, and now doesn't look like they're going to be able to cherish any of those fun events. So I think you shed light on a very, very important point, that things that they just work so hard to get to where they're at, and now it's like it's something, it's like it's just out of reach. It's like I'm trying to find the right way to describe it. It's like you know the machine where you use like the claw to get something out.
The crane game, like the claw.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like you're trying to achieve something, and then the crane, you're trying to
Comes
claw
down
something
and
out,
you're
and you
trying to
just
pull it
miss
up,
it.
and then you get the toy, and then you drop it.
exactly.
You don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of these kids that because it affected them in all different ways. Like for some guys, they like being at home because now they're not under as much pressure to go outside and socialize with others, or it's like being on a big vacation. But to some others, now that they're being forced to stay at home not by their own terms, they're finding that they're having a lot of issues and struggles with trying to manage their time. Now that they seem like they have all this flexibility in their schedule, because of the fact that people on the spectrum like having things structured or tailored a certain way, that way. But now, like, since they're facing a lot of uncertainties, it's causing them a lot of discomfort, and they're just trying to figure out how they're going to adjust because of the fact that this is a day-to-day thing, and that they're not sure if, in some ways, a lot of the things that they were able to do in their daily life, it's the end of the world as they know it. So what they're trying to do now is kind of pick apart their own brains and figure out what they're going to be able to do in this society that they're just getting used to now.
I just want to piggyback what Matt said before we announce our winner. I don't know if you heard of John Kuczynski. He started his own show called Some Good News, and I heard he did a virtual prom night for the seniors.
Wow. Hey, that's something to think about. You know, then we might have to make that happen. You know, courtesy of the Ben and Jay show, we might have to put some minds together and make it happen, because everyone deserves a prom. You know, everybody deserves a prom, and everybody deserves to graduate. So let's definitely
and
think about.
I think John Kuczynski from the Office. I think it's a great way what he's doing. It would be a good way to have us help he can help us, and then we can help him do whatever we want to do to promote our cause, and then we can help him out, do whatever, because people are wrong right now in this world. And
Yeah.
I don't want anybody being negative about like other people. And I love when you piggyback on all that stuff, but I just think we all need to be kind to one another. And that's what I like ending with my show with, is being kind to one another. And I love saying my quote because we are unique and special, just like a rainbow.
There you go. That's definitely good. That's definitely good.
I'm ready to announce the second winner.
You got a second winner?
Yep, the winner is, drum roll please, Kevin Marceroni.
Kevin.
Marchetti.
Marchetti. Kevin.
Yes.
Oh, Kevin, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, Kevin, you won the second gift card. Congratulations. I heard the steak over there is impeccable. Enjoy. Definitely you want to stick around. So Kaylee, who is our lovely and very awesome assistant, will be able to make sure you get your gift card.
Yep.
Thank you for listening, for everything.
Just one quick question before you guys go. Okay, so I'm big on helping like these autistic people. How can I help?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Very good question. Very good question.
It's funny you say that because we will have a survey, as we mentioned, that we'll send out to everyone, or anyone who's interested at least, that will give me us more data that I can report on in the finished product. Answer your question?
Yeah.
Definitely, Kevin. Thank you for that question. Very insightful, and once again, paying it forward. Not so much as taking, but just wanting to know, what can I do to help out these individuals, these awesome individuals that we are so in love with and speaking about, such as Ben. But Ben, you have something that you will want to let our audience know?
The end, the quote, yep. So my one thing is, guys, this week, please be kind to one another. No matter what you're talking to, no matter who you see in the grocery store, no matter who you're going around in the neighborhood with, just be kind to one another. And having autism is not a bad thing, and it doesn't characterize who we are. Everyone is unique and special, just like a rainbow. First of all, I want to thank Jamiel. I want to thank Max and Matthew for letting us come on the show today, letting them come on the show. I'd like to thank my very personal assistant, Kaylee. She is the best in the background. I also would like to thank our guest who came on and talked today. Thank you so much. Special contribution thank you to Access Services, and a big thank you to American Star Diner for donating the gift cards. Stay tuned for next week's show, and we'll see you all later.
Oh.